and faith. Listen in as we explore how God's love and grace can inspire and motivate us to overcome life's challenges and light the path forward.
Hello, Pathfinders. How are y'all? What is going on? It's your girl, Queen Cole here, and this is another great episode of Light the Path podcast. And today what we're going to be talking about is becoming your authentic self. And to help me navigate this conversation, I got to read her bio, because hold up, y'all, this right here, y'all, this is what you need. This is what you want. You're going to want to be able to connect with her automatically. Don't even wait to the end of the show, okay? Just go ahead as I say this, and I'm going to put it in the description as well. But Bernadette Jackson is a strategist and speaker. She is calling all fatherless daughters to take a fresh look at old wounds healed with me. She is an author, TEDx speaker, and NPO founder. You definitely want to stay tuned and listen to this. Help me welcome Bernadette to Light the Path podcast.
Hello. It's so nice to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. We already done had our episode, okay? I already done got my healing, y'all. So now it's your turn. Ooh, this is going to be so good. We're definitely going to talk about both of your books. I want to talk about your first book. What inspired you to write your first book?
Oh, that's a good question. So I should start with like who I am and how I got to be like, this version of myself, because that's going to answer that question for you. So growing up, I always wanted to be a daddy's girl. And I never got that opportunity because my father was absent. And a lot of what I did as a result of his absence was to make myself small, to be hyper vigilant and hyper intuitive around what people needed, who they needed me to be, what I needed to show up as in order to belong in spaces. And so what I noticed is that by the time I got to 18, when I met my father for the first time, I didn't really know who I was. And it was really hard for me to even, be authentic around other people, because I didn't want to be abandoned again. I didn't want to not be liked. I didn't want to be like expelled from whatever group that I was trying to get into. And what I noticed is that a lot of what I did was essentially morph into a palatable persona. That's what I like to call, the mask that we wear. And I did this because I thought that who I was authentically was not going to be good enough for the people I wanted to be in relationship with. And so just being on this healing journey for the past 5 years, having my coming to Jesus moment where the Lord told me that I was the person who was the common denominator in all of these relationships that I used to complain about. And if it was me, then what did I need to actually do in order to start seeing something different? Like the Lord really just, gave me the desire to be radically different. There was like a radical change that I needed to have. And in doing that, I started to realize that a lot of the way I viewed myself and a lot of the way that I showed up in the world was through the lens of my father's absence, and me thinking that because he was gone, because he never wanted to have that relationship with me growing up, that something must have been wrong with me. And so that led me down this path of always trying to morph into who I needed to be in order to be in a relationship with the people that I liked, that I loved. And so my healing journey was a lot of unlearning, a lot of undoing, a lot of peeling back the layers of this palatable persona that I had, built up for so long. It was so ironclad that it took a long time for me to get to the essence of who I was. But at the end of it, I realized that I was not the only person who was doing this. And so because I wanted for women who have experienced the same thing I have to be authentic, because that's the only way that you're actually going to be able to experience and enjoy the relationships that you really want, I wrote this book for them to get to the deepest part of who they are. Like, I know instinctually that you're going to try and show up as who you think you need to be. And a lot of times that really does make you self-abandoned, like you don't know who you are, you don't know what you need to do, you don't know how you should be showing up authentically or if it would even be welcome. And so it's buried so deep that it does take some excavation. And so this book was really just the tool that they can use to get to who that actually is.
Yes, and I gotta show y'all. Y'all are watching on YouTube. Y'all are getting the treat because look at this cover. Look how beautiful. Look at this beautiful cover. Authenticity, journal and strategy. Journal, excuse me, plus strategy. Look at this beautiful, blooming woman. Oh, so good. So
Mhm.
good. I definitely got to get my hands on it because it has over 100 prompts in it. And why is authenticity so important? And how do we even get to take the first mask off?
I think that it starts with acknowledging the fact that you have been wearing a mask to begin with. Everything that we do in terms of our healing, in terms of changing behavior that we want to change, is going to start with some self awareness. And in doing that, I think that we get to understand, well, how have I been showing up? And a lot of it honestly just has to do with being curious about what you have been doing, the results that it has yielded, who are the people that it has attracted, and whether or not this is what you actually want to experience. And I think honestly, just asking yourself those questions just to start is going to be able to help you to tap into whether or not you're showing up the way you want to show up. Because I feel like a lot of times what we don't acknowledge is that a lot of what we experience is because of the vibe that we give off, it's because of what we say, it's because of what we accept. And a lot of times what people are accepting is what has been familiar to them, even if what's familiar is not what they desire. And so, like, that right there is something that we need to be like crystal clear about. Sure, you may desire an amazing relationship with somebody who, deeply sees you, is curious about you, you feel loved and supported by. Absolutely, you want friendships with women where, like, you feel like this is your sister circle, you feel like your soul is being fed, that you're being nourished, and all of the things. But if you don't show up authentically, those people who are assigned to you will not be able to find you. And so now you are in relationship and you're trying to maintain relationships with people who feel misaligned, who you feel like you're doing all this work to impress, who you have to keep this mask up in order to like stay in community with them, because what they think they see is not even who you are. So you are now in a relationship where it's at a deficit. And so just understanding these things about yourself, like, how do I feel when I'm with so and so? Like, what am I feeling in my body? How do I feel at the end of my interaction with them? All these kinds of questions can tip you off to whether or not, A, am I even being authentic with this person? B, is this friendship or relationship draining? C, am I being fed here? And if not, why is that?
Yes, and that's real good, especially the part that you said about unlearning. It's like, okay, we've wore these masks for so long, and I'm talking about myself. Let me just talk about myself. I don't wear any mask anymore, thank God. But when I first peeled the mask off, I had to unlearn so many things. What part does spirituality play in being your authentic self?
Oh, that's a good question. For me, it was believing the identity that God had for me and not the one that I had placed on myself based on my experiences. And I think that that has been really important. And it's still something that I'm learning to accept every single day. Like, I'm going to just keep it 100% real with you. I do not always wake up like, oh, I'm gonna like be my most authentic self and everyone is gonna love me and stuff like that. And I'm just gonna be in community with all these amazing people. I don't always wake up like that. Sometimes I have to look in the mirror, look my own self in the eye and like, girl, you are worthy of every good thing. and you deserve amazing relationships. And in order for you to receive that, you need to give yourself permission to bloom in all of the ways that God ordained for you to bloom. And so that for me sometimes is how I need to just like, speak to myself, like love on myself, motivate my own self sometimes to be who I need to be. But I absolutely needed to come into agreement with what God said about me and not what I thought that I was because of someone's decision not to be in my life.
So good. But why is it so hard? Why is it so hard overcoming inauthenticity? Why is it so hard for us to take those masks off and put them down? Because I have taken the mask off, but I'm not going to say, just like you, I've been tempted to put it back on.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it so hard?
I feel like a lot of times, I shouldn't even say a lot of times, I think genuinely we want to connect, right? And in us wanting to connect and in us wanting to be in community, we understand that being our most authentic self is going to mean that some of the people that are in our life are going to have to go. Okay. Like we understand this. And I feel like sometimes we're not ready for that shift. We're not ready for like that drastic of a change. If you have met me a certain way, if you met me pre-healing, where I was always, doing whatever was necessary to please you, if I was always pouring into your cup and making sure that I did whatever it is that you needed me to do, and I was always a yes person, and I never wanted to have any boundaries, and I didn't want to, rock the boat because I wanted to stay in community with you. And then all of a sudden I decided, okay, the real Bernadette is about to show up to the party, who has boundaries, who has expectations of the relationship that we are in, who is needing just as much nourishing as I'm giving out, who is expecting a reciprocal relationship and mutual benefit. Those things are going to be hard for a person to be able to understand, to grasp, and to get on board with if they have always experienced you as someone who has always been the person to pour, who has always been the person who is making sure that they're okay. They've never had to do anything. The friendship has always been easy. It's always been like, yeah, whatever you want, however you want to do it, blah, blah, blah. Now, when I come with my expectations and boundaries, and I let you know that something that you're doing is not okay, and I let you know that, this is how I want to be treated. And, like if I'm not treated this way, I'm not sure how much further we can go. And I start going there with you, tension starts, and with the tension and with the, like the possible discord now we're like, okay, is this friendship even going to survive this season of, you needing to understand what I need as much as I have like, understood what you've needed all this time. So it's really about community, I think. And I think so much of what we want and so much of how we want to feel and the support that we would like to have is going to happen in community. And feeling like your community is going to be taken away because you now want to show up differently or show up as who you truly are is really tough, and it's kind of scary to think about.
Yes. Whew. I mean, so many good points there, Bernadette, because it's important because we need community, right? We need community, but if your community is not receptive and you're trying to hang on by the string and the hair and pull it and grasp, like we got to hold these relationships with open hands. We got to be like, hey, this is who I am. And if they want to go, then the season for that relationship is over. But that's exactly why it's extremely hard, because it's hard to let go. It's hard to let go of a pair of jeans that I can't fit no more. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
But when you are showing up as your authentic self, I think it's truly important for the people around you to be accepting of that. And you're going to be, to me, I'm ever evolving. So if you don't like me how I am today, maybe 2 years from now, you may not even like me even more, because I am continuously evolving, and I try to keep community around me that is accepting of that. So how do you tell someone, how do they develop and maintain their authenticity? So we've taken the mask off. We reckon with, okay, I'm shifting some things in the community. how do you just continue to develop it and maintain that authenticity?
I think it's a decision moment to moment. It's not something that you can just decide that, oh, I'm going to be authentic for the rest of my life, and then you're never going to have any hiccups or never going to feel compelled to put the mask back on. It is a daily decision that you need to make moment by moment. And there is always an opportunity for you to either put the mask on or for you to operate in authenticity. And sometimes that can look like you maybe have a difficult conversation with a friend, and the putting up of the mask may be, you not saying anything about how you truly feel about what's going on, and instead you just agree with what the person has said so that the conflict can subside and you guys can get back to like the happy feelings that you want to have, versus you saying, like, I understand how you feel, but this is how I feel, and I would like for us to be able to come to some kind of mutual understanding about this so that we know how to handle a situation like this in the future. Like, there's a million different ways that we decide to not be authentic in the moment. But I think it's a decision that we need to make every time we're engaging, every time we walk into a room, deciding before you even walk into the room that I'm walking in as my fully expressed self. And the people who gravitate towards me are the people who I am supposed to meet in this season at this time. Having those thoughts, like, definitely coming to the understanding that everyone is not going to like you, everyone is not going to click with you, and that is okay. You do not need 1,000 friends. If you have 2 or 3 really great friends who see you, who support you, and who, like, are there to help you heal, you are blessed. You are truly blessed. So the idea that you need to be liked by everyone is definitely something that, first of all, needs to just like exit your mind. You need to divorce yourself from that idea altogether, because that a lot of times is what is keeping people in these relationships, in these friendships, in these situations that they do not feel fulfilled in, that are way past their expiration date, and that they are serve no purpose whatsoever. And so that's what I would say first, that, like, decide moment to moment how you're going to be, how you're going to show up, and really just trust yourself to actually do what you said that you're going to do.
So good. Don't lie to yourself. We got to stop lying to ourselves and say, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. That's definitely moment by moment, because how else could we do it? I mean,
yeah,
besides moment by moment, because we can't predict every situation we're going to be in. So I really like that strategy. I think that's really good for us to do that. Besides getting the book and what you heard from Bernadette today, guess what? I'm late to the party, y'all. She has another book. And she has an event coming up. Please tell us about your latest book and your upcoming event. I got the cover for that too. So YouTube, y'all get a treat. iTunes, as y'all are listening, y'all go ahead and come over to YouTube so y'all can see these beautiful covers. But Bernadette, please share about your latest book and your upcoming event.
Yeah, absolutely. So my latest book is called Daughter Heal, a call to fatherless daughters to take a fresh look at old wounds. And this book goes into the HEAL framework. And that is the framework that I use with my private clients to help them to both come into understanding of how their fatherlessness has affected them in relationship with themselves and with others, and how can they then start to build the tools and the resources and the community that they need to thrive in healthy relationships. So I really love this work. I love this book that I'm doing. I also have a nonprofit organization of the same name, Daughter Heal, because my deepest desire is for women with fractured father relationships to understand that they deserve to have amazing relationships, and that healing happens in community. And when I was going through my own healing journey, I realized that there really weren't a lot of resources out there that specifically spoke about the nuances of what it's like to be a fatherless woman, and how that deficit shows up in relationships, how you think about yourself, what you accept, and all of that. And so this book really is just the guide that I needed when I was on my own healing journey, just to walk women through exactly what you need to know, the awareness that you need to come into, and the tools that you need in order to have the deepest desires of your heart.
Yes. Look at this beautiful cover, guys. Look at this beautiful cover, Darter Hill. Oh, it's beautiful. And don't forget to tell us about your event that's coming
Mm,
up. That's going to be
yes.
beautiful as well. I mean, it's going to help so many people. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my event is going to be October 20th and 21st of this year. It's called Daughter Heal Live. That's where I'm going to be talking about the fatherless daughter archetypes. There's going to be three of them. So we're going to be doing a lot of research based workshops. We're also going to be doing activities that are going to help them to get closer to awareness around who they are, how they show up, like what these archetypes mean for them in their relationships, tools. We're going to be doing a lot of exercises that are going to help to build community and all of that. And essentially, this is really just the live version of what the book is like. And so I'm really excited for women to understand what their archetype is, what that says about them, for them to start to get like, a lot deeper understanding of who they are as a fatherless daughter and how it has shaped how they move through the world, what they accept, and honestly, just like what their desires are and how they can get closer to that. So I'm really excited about that.
It's going to be so nice. It's going to be so much healing going on
Mhm.
that it's going to help generations. It's going to help whoever comes, but then they're going to be able to help other people also along this journey. And then we can possibly eliminate or bring it down a bit of having fatherless children, daughters in this case, but we can help with that once we start healing. We know what's going on. But let me show y'all the flyer for this because there it is, Darter Hill Live, a transformative 2-day conference for women ready to reclaim their stories and relationships. Again, it's going to be October 20th and 21st in NYC. Who want to go to NYC? Me? I want to go. I want to be there.
Mhm.
So get both books, guys. Definitely to help along your healing journey. We know that healing is not linear. So there's not just like a point that you make it and that's it. Because once you get with Bernadette, you may uncover some other stuff. Our
Mhm.
pre-podcast, I did uncover some other stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's definitely a great work that you're doing. Let everybody know where they can connect with you.
Yeah, so you can definitely follow me on IG at Bernadette N. Jackson. And then you can also follow my nonprofit page at Daughter Heal. Both of those are areas where you can reach out to me. I'm very active in the comments and in the DM. So if there was ever a question about something that I'm doing or, something that might be coming up or just, in general about something, you can always hit me up in the DMs. And we can talk about it. So definitely looking forward to meeting some of you from your platform and getting to know you.
Yes, thank you so much, Bernadette. And remember, everyone, that sharing your experiences is not only empowering, but it